Hi, and welcome back to the Point and Click Devlog, an ongoing series in which today I'm going to talk for
9 minutes
about this cupboard. Specifically, the animation, or lack thereof, for opening it, and why I've been having a bit of a mini breakdown over the way characters do stuff in games. So there's a bit in the early stage of my game where you need to get an empty cup. They're in this cupboard in this room, but just to add a bit of interactivity, I decided for some reason to have the cupboard door be closed when you enter the scene, so naturally you'll open it and there you go. Welcome to Cup City, population you. Now, before I started putting this game together properly in engine, I created a bunch of stock animations for my main character, so that he could grab things from high or low, left or right, front or back. They're rough around the edges because I'm not a trained animator by any means, but they do the job for most of the things that he will need to do across the length of the whole game. Like, if you make an object disappear at the same time as Tom here closes his fist, that is normally enough for your brain to go, okay, yeah, he's grabbed that. You don't, in my opinion, need to explicitly draw the thing in his hand, especially as in adventure games, characters have ludicrously deep pockets capable of holding an insane number of things. So animating him storing stuff on his person is not only unnecessary but probably unwise. Similarly, in this bit he hands this NPC a coffee, but the coffee just materialises in her hand. Your brain fills in the blanks. But then I rigged up this cupboard, and naturally because of its position relative to Tom, I used the grab stuff from high up animation. But I mean, that's not what opening a cupboard looks like, is it? We both know that. And it sent me on a bit of a reverie about how much stuff like this actually matters. Like, do I need to draw and animate a bespoke animation for every niche interaction in the game? Or is the implication of something happening enough to satisfy a player? To try and figure this out, I've done the obvious thing and looked outwards, thinking about some of the games that inspired me to see how they handle the problem. And it's a really mixed bag. On the one end, you've got something like the original Broken Sword. That's one of my all-time favourite games, and despite its age, its art and animation work still holds up as among the best in the genre, because the team at Revolution went to some extreme lengths here. Pretty much everything George does feels bespoke. Look at him swoop down to pick up this newspaper, for instance. Or the way he pulls this manhole tool from his jacket and then actually uses it. It's bonkers, and it makes me feel pretty awful about my own game. But then I remembered something else. I recently played the special edition remaster of Monkey Island 2, and it's funny how basic that is in a lot of places. I know the remaster is really just new art sitting over the old game, but still, pretty much every single thing Guybrush does is literally 2 frames. He bends down for a frame and then he's back up, or he reaches out and then snaps back. And that didn't bother me at all, just like it probably didn't bother you. While I was on this train of thought, I remembered that there recently erupted a whole big thing online in the game dev community about doors, and how insanely difficult they are to get right. In the point and click genre, you've got the likes of Francisco Gonzalez painstakingly rotoscoping this kind of madness in Lamplight City, where someone literally opens the door so someone else can walk in, and it's all done perfectly. And then you've got some AAA games doing the exact opposite. Everything's a bit backwards. I played Hitman 3 not too long ago, and in that game, Agent 47 doesn't even use his hands to open doors. You push a button and they just fling open or closed. It's like that in a lot of games, and you know what? I didn't care that was the case when I was playing it. Like, at no point was I thinking, oh, these lazy developers not bothering to animate their doors. I was just enjoying the game. Conversely, much was made of the animation work in Red Dead Redemption 2, which you could make a very strong argument went way overboard. Like, yes, it's lovely that there's a painstakingly accurate animation for opening every single cupboard or drawer, but there's this bit at the start of the game where you kill about 50 guys and then have to loot them all one by one, and it takes forever. In GTA 5 you collect money by just running over it, and that works fine. So like, maybe my guy can open a cupboard like this. I guess the crux of the problem is, how much do you sweat the small stuff? How much does it really matter? And I think I've convinced myself of an answer I like enough to stop myself from obsessing over cupboards and doors. And it's an answer I can actually distill in graph form. Okay, so on the y-axis here we have a scale of how much you should really care about small details out of 10. Along the x-axis we have how far along you are in terms of development, and I've made that a percentage scale out of 100, so 100% is obviously this game is finished. And here's my opinion on this presented as fact. When you're first developing your game, I think making big progress is the most important thing, and the finer details can go on the back burner, so our line starts out like this. But then naturally as you progress you've got more and more of the thing in the bag and you can finesse, which ultimately means that the nearer you get to completion, the bulk of your time can then be spent on adding in those lovely flourishes. But, and this is key, I don't think that for an indie developer you should ever be hitting that 10 out of 10 panic over small details, because that way is the road to madness. Under a close enough lens, nothing will ever be good enough, and you'll never have done enough bespoke animations or created enough tiny touches. And at some point you're going to have to draw a line under everything and release a game. So look, by the time you play my game, it might well be the case that this cupboard animation looks a lot better than it does right now, and it might not. But all I can say with confidence is that I'm not going to worry about it right now, because chances are no one else will care. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. If you are new here, I've got lots of other devlogs about various parts of this whole process, alongside interviews with other devs, some tutorial stuff, and a slowly increasing volume of live stream dev sessions. This channel also has what I like to think is the de facto Discord server for indie point and click developers, a Discord server which is not at all about me, it's more about a community of fellow devs sharing knowledge and tips. There's a link to that in the description should you wish to come and say hello. And the only other thing to say is that I think it's pretty mad how this weird little channel is inching towards 2,000 subscribers now. I sincerely, deeply hate doing the whole YouTube like and subscribe stuff, so I rarely do it, but look, if you've watched this far into this video, then maybe add me to your subscriptions and I'll do what I can to provide some semblance of like ongoing value in return for that support. If not, no worries at all, maybe I'll see you in the next one either way. Bye!